Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho, ho. I see we have some participants. Hello. Ho, ho, ho. If you can hear me, just say you can hear me. Where's my sound man? Oh, there he is. Tony. 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 Man, you're like an AI. You're just living inside my computer. Tony, you're the only sound man I ever need. So all I'm going to ask you is, can you hear me? Is there any distortion? Is it loud enough? You're the man with the golden ears, the man that never sleeps. Talk to me, Tony. We can hear. That's good. Tony says we can hear. If it's good enough for Tony's ears, then it's good enough for me. Good after morning, good evening, or wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to the Christmas live stream. Yeah, on VG channel. And I'll just say hello to a few of you who are joining here. Hello, Rebecca. Hello from London. Hello to you there in London, rather. M. Stimson, hello. Hello, how are you doing? Sir Lay, hello. Chelsea Chainsaw, good name. Hello from Greece. Hello to you. Chelsea Chainsaw, greetings from Italy. Amico mio, squadra vincente. Amico mio, squadra vincente. Okay, so I'm going to just give everyone a few minutes just to get on, and then we'll get started. So go grab yourselves a drink. We're going to have a little get together here, and catch up on what's happening, what has happened, and what's about to happen. So we'll be on here for about an hour. I'm not doing the 4-hour live streams that I used to do. Interesting thing was, the reason I did 4-hour live streams was not because I planned to do 4-hour live streams. It's just interesting that once you get on to this subject and start talking, time just, as they say, time flies when you're having fun. So, but we're going to cap it at an hour, so we can be more focused. Yes, hello, everyone's coming in. Tony says it's 8 a.m. coffee time. That must be in Texas. Wow, is that breakfast time, or is that like morning for you or evening, Tony? Because you're the man who never sleeps. Underdark Sky says hi from Dresden. Hello. Yes, I was in your great city last week with Mesh. Didn't get to see much of it, I'm afraid, because I've been to quite a lot of towns in cities in Germany now, but I unfortunately don't get to see much because we just fly in straight into the hotel, straight to the venue, do the show, and then back to the hotel, back to the airport, and home again. So I've seen more of Germany this year than I've seen. Well, I'd never been to Germany until I met Mesh, put it this way. But now, yeah, I go to Germany a lot, but I haven't seen much. I've seen a lot of venues and airports and hotels. So, okay, so I'm just looking who's here. Tony, Dalida, hello everyone. Welcome to the live stream here on VG channel. It's been an interesting year. It's been a very, very fast year. It's gone very. I know we say that the time just goes fast, but it does. It just seems to accelerate and go faster and faster every year. And it's like it just seemed like the other day. We were planning this year with all the shows and everything, and now we're at the end of this year, and it's been quite a. It's been a very emotional year. It's been a very positive year, but I'll get all into that in a while. So I'll just give you guys a chance to come on. Underdark Skies says the Mesh show was great. Thank you. I assume you were there. Hello from Denmark. Yes, hello to you as well. Okay, so I'll just give you a few more minutes to get on, and then we'll get started. There's no real formality today, guys. We're just gonna talk about what's happened what's happening and what's about to happen. And yeah, that's it. So give you a few more minutes to get on, and then we'll get started. I think I should request my drink. Have you all got your drinks? Everyone get yourself a drink. I'm just going to quickly request my drink to come. And 3 guesses. What am I drinking? What do you think I'm going to be drinking? Bianca, hello from Brazil. Thank you for joining. It's an international crowd here tonight. Well, it's 6:15 here in Tallinn, Estonia, which means it's 2:02 in the UK. Emil Thomas says, how's it from Antibes? Oh, how's it? How's it? That's very South African. Okay. Tony says bourbon. You're close. Richard Silverthorne. And we have a celebrity on the live stream tonight, guys. Richard Silverthorne. And how do I know it's the real Richard Silverthorne? Well, because only he would say what he said there. Hi, mate, your guitar you ordered has arrived. Yeah, Richard and I are not into guitars. And I did post something on my Facebook page a few months ago, and I said guitars should never ever be seen. There were a few people who took offense to it, of course, as there always are, but I think most of you agreed guitars should remain in the 80s because it was acceptable in the 80s. It was acceptable at the time. Guitars and mullets and high-waisted jeans and camel toes. Yeah, 80s. Anyway, I'm probably going to get some hell from that. Anyway, but then again, prove me wrong. I'm sure there will be someone out there who looks fabulous with a guitar. I just, just not having it. Anyway, thank you, Rich. I'll come and fetch that guitar later. Was it in my electric pink that I requested? El Caxi 1971 says, today is my daughter's 19th birthday, so celebrating merrily. Well, a very happy birthday to your daughter who's now 19 today. And I hope you have a lovely time. It's always nice when you have it's nice when you have a birthday so close to Christmas, because then people can buy you 1 present, 2 presents for the price of 1. Right, so I shall just... Sorry, I was trying to text to request my drink, and then I got distracted by Rich Silverthorne and my guitar. So let me just quickly request my drink, and then we'll get started. Here's a question. I knew someone was going to pull me up on this. Music World says, where are you going to do videos on Judas and In Your Room from Depeche Mode? You're right, because the Depeche Mode album review series, which I started 5 years ago when I started this channel, it's still, and we kind of got stuck at the moment. I think you're right. We've just done... What was the last one we did? I can't remember. Was it Condemnation and then Mercy in You? So yeah, I do need to do Judas. If you've been following my progress on the album review series, the album review series, the Depeche Mode album review series, it started off as like a 1-episode show, and then by the time we got to, I think, Construction Time Again, it became 2 parts. And then by the time we got to Black Celebration, I think it was 6 parts, and then Music for the Masses was about 7 parts, and then I think by the time we got to Violator, it was like a 14-part series. So I don't know why I do this to myself, and I don't know why I do this to you guys as well. But I learned in the early days of this channel that there is no limit to the amount of detail that I can give, and I'm surprised that I could, do a 14-part series on an album. But that really is because we do 1 episode per song. And if you've been rolling with me from the beginning, I am guilty of being a little bit long-winded and talking over-explaining myself, but those of you who have been with me from the smooth and the rough, you know how we roll here, and I really appreciate your time and support. Here's a question. Have you ever been to Greece? No, I haven't been to Greece. No, I've been to Cyprus, which is half Greek and half... Cyprus is Greek, and who the other... Sorry, my brain's gone. My brain's gone. I've been to Cyprus, yes, but that's not Greece. But yes, I have friends in Greece, and we had a lot of Greek people who lived in South Africa. And a lot of them have moved back to Greece, so I do have accommodation, and I have a lot of Greek friends. So I shall like to come and visit sometime. Salvation. Thank you very much. You ask and you get. Merry Christmas, everyone. And that is my poison. My poison. If ever we're out and you want to buy me a drink, dark rum and Coke. This is... I don't like that spiced stuff. The spiced stuff, it's too sweet. I like this. This one is Captain Morgan. Captain Morgan, Mount Gay, all that Mount Gay. God, I'm childish. Yeah, there is a rum called Mount Gay, but I like dark rum. Right. Okay. Let's get started. So, everyone, I can't see you, but Merry Christmas to you all. I wish you lots of love, happiness, and prosperity in a crazy world, in a very, 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 very crazy world. If you're living in America at the moment, we don't want to get too much into world affairs, but what's with all those drones flying around in the sky there? And there's all this talk about disclosure coming soon. Contact with extraterrestrials and all this kind of stuff. And wow, I feel like I'm living in a dream sometimes. Maybe I am. And there are some schools of thought that say we're living in a virtual reality, and this is all an illusion. Anyway, as you can see, I've only had 2 sips, so I'm not drunk. This is just my default position. Okay, so as we sort of reflect on 2024, this to me has been one of the most exciting times of my life. I'm personally very, very, very happy and fulfilled right now, and I don't want to sound smug or anything like that. But then again, I'm sure those of you here will be happy for me. My haters won't be that happy for me, but to those of you who don't like me, can you read between the brackets? But anyway, it's been a very, very, very good year. And my fondest memories were starting off this year in January, sort of with the mesh shows. We did the Legacy set of shows, and Legacy was like the Mesh greatest hits shows. It was shows sort of like doing the greatest hits from the catalogue, and we did a few in England, or we did Scotland, England. We did Scotland. We did England, 2 in England, and then we moved on to we did Netherlands. We did a show there, and then the rest in Germany. And it's been an absolute blast being a part of Mesh, and I am very, very grateful to be a part of the band, and I would like to drink to that. Long may it live. It's not often that you get asked to join a band that you're a fan of. Since I've started the channel and everything, I've obviously, with correspondence and email and stuff, I've had people reaching out to me and, asking me to, and also with friends, just people asking if, we start something or... But no, I've always turned everything down. I love performing, but of course, when Rich from Mesh called me that fateful day on, what was it, April the 2nd? It wasn't quite. I thought it was an April Fool's joke, but it was April the 2nd, and he asked me to jump in with keyboards. I didn't hesitate. And that was a couple of shows I did in 2023. And by the end of that weekend, I think they were impressed with how I conducted myself, and luckily I never fell over, and because it was a long learning curve. And that Monday I got a phone call from Richard asking me if I wanted to join the band, and it was an absolute no-brainer. So thank you, Rich. That is something I'm very, very grateful for, and it's something that I'm we are all working very hard to take Mesh to the next level, because I know Richard hates hearing this, but people always say, how come this band is not massive? And of course what is massive? Massive it's a relative term. I mean, Mesh are massive compared to many bands, but there are people, and one of the things that I think not annoyed Rich, but was the saying of, people always go, how come I've never heard of this band? And that indeed was the first thing I said when Mesh was first introduced to me in my YouTube channel several years ago. I listened to it, and people send me a lot of stuff, and when I listened to Mesh, I thought it instantly stood out as really, really good stuff. And I remember listening to it and thinking, how the hell have I not heard about this? And so Mesh has always been Britain's best kept secret, and not so much now. Just seem to really be breaking out. I mean, they're massive in Germany. We had some really great shows this year. I think there were we did 8 shows with the UK as well. It could have been 8 or 10 shows. But I think 80% of the German shows were sold out. So Germany, I want to thank Das ist gut, ja, Germany. Germany has always been a huge support. And Germany is a great, has always been sort of the center of electronic music. And I think when we sold out when we were doing the ticket sales for Berlin and all those, and I said to Rich, it'll be a dream come true if we could sell out Berlin, because there is something when you're doing the kind of music we are, electronic. Well, Mesh is not completely electronic, but you know what I mean. Berlin's kind of like the capital of electronic music, unofficial. But there is something magical about doing a show in Berlin and selling it out. And when we sold out in the Berlin show, I think the Berlin show we did, it sold out I think it was about 7 weeks before the day. So it sold out very, very quickly. And it's been wonderful. This has just been an absolute blast for me. And we do so many shows, and as I said, since I joined Mesh in April 2023, I've now got 16 shows under my belt. So you can go to mesh.co.uk and you can see all the new shows that are coming up next year, because we've got a very, very exciting year. Working on the new album, I've been privy to listening to the demos and stuff, and the standard is through the roof. So if you're a Mesh fan, you're really, really, really going to like it. I'm very excited. Mark and Rich are working hard on the new album, but it's sounding fantastic. So if you're a fan, you're going to like it. And if you're not a Mesh fan, check it out. It's easy for me to fly the Mesh flag, because although I'm part of the live band, it's very easier to promote someone else's product. I've always found it hard to promote my own. Oh, da-da-da-da-da. Oh. Da-da-da-da-da. It's there if you want it, but I won't shove it down your throat. So yeah, it's been a very, very good year with that. Now, coming on to Mesh, we have just finished our last show for this year, and this was in Dresden. We did a special show, which was entitled The Show Where It Falls Apart. I don't know who came up with that name. I think it may have been our tour manager, Jan, but that was kind of like a... we laughed about that title, because the reason it was called that was because the album, which is the album called The Point at Which It Falls Apart, which was released in 1999, it just received a re-release now. It was remastered. So this show was paying homage to, paying homage. This show was a kind of like a showcase for that album, which was released 25 years ago. God, 25 years ago. And this particular show, which we did in Dresden, which was called The Show at Which It Falls Apart, based on the point at which it falls apart. This was something special. I mean, every show we've done has, and even festivals have been very, very special to me, but there was something about this show where I really saw it really, with Richard and Mark, I could see it really, I could see them being quite, I don't want to say emotional, but I could see they were quite like, not overcome by it, but I could just see it had really, it had touched them. And what I mean by that is, look, Mark and Rich have been doing this for many years. They've done great shows. They've done lots of shows. And whenever we come off stage, you know, whether it be in the encore, I'm always like bouncing off the walls going, oh, how was that? How was that? And they're always like, yeah, they're quite cool and coy, you know, because they've done it for many, many years. But with this particular show, and especially at the end when we went to the, left the dressing room and went to sign some autographs, I think that the venue manager also said something along the lines of, you'd never seen a show like this in this venue, where when the show ended, like hardly anyone went home. It's like everyone just, like most of the people stayed to get autographs and stuff, and it was very, very overwhelming. But I, you know, as I said to Richard afterwards, I said, hey man, Jesus, you should be so proud of yourselves, man. This is just, you guys have done really, really well. And as I say, I'm part of the live band, and I cannot take credit for Mesh's success, of course. I can't and I won't, because, you know, Mesh is Mark and Richard. But I am obviously part of the live show. And what I love about it is that since I've joined, I've been given pretty much free reign to do what I want to do live. And I think they trust me not to. It's not like I'm going to be playing trumpets and glockenspiels and things like that. I think they understand that I understand the music and everything. And so it's been a lot of fun. So I'm going to quickly just pull up some photos from that show. There we go. I've got to just leave this looping as the slideshow. Some really, I mean, look at that. These are great photos. And I want to make a shout out to these photographers. There's one from Hellzone. The names are credited on there. If you go onto my Facebook page, you will see I've got these photos up there, and I'm also crediting the photographers. I mean, just look at those. There's another great photographer, hrpictures.de. Really good photos. And it's always great when you see, I mean, look at that. You know, there's nothing like a professional photographer. They can really make you look cool, and they can really capture it. And there's one of Rich on his Gretsch guitar. Rich has got quite a few Gretsch guitars. All different colors, and he played 2 different ones on the show, and there we all are there, and the projections and everything, and I mean, honestly, these photos are fantastic, and I'm so grateful for the photographers that capture these. I mean, just look at that. I mean, you can't do that with, you know, there's a lot you can do with camera phones, but I mean, you know, there are great photos, and then there are those taken by professional photographers, and there's quite a difference. Frontman Mark there, and I think we're back to the beginning point there. But yeah, you can check these photos out. As I say, if you follow me on the Facebook group, or if you're a member of the Vaughn George Facebook group, then you can see the photos there. But do check out the photographers here. Some fantastic work. Okay, so that was all things sort of Mesh. As you can see, Mesh has been a very, very big part of my life and my brand and everything over the last year. It's been an absolute joy, and I feel very, very honored and privileged to be a part of it. But I do feel that I'm, you know, bringing value to it in my own way, and I'm very, very grateful, and long may it live. Okay. So just on the live performance stuff as well, I've just done a show at the DM bar. Now, if any of you ever come to Tallinn, Estonia, hit me. Send me a DM or something, and let me know you're coming, and I will, time permitting, I will gladly come and meet you at the DM bar. Now, the Depeche Mode bar, I've known about it for years. It's become quite a legendary place within Depeche Mode culture. and I was very pleased to do my first piano interpretations shows. So you guys know I've started doing the interpretations shows. This really just started from my YouTube channel when I did the the album reviews of Depeche Mode stuff. I'm very focused on songs, and therefore I always strip the songs down to piano. And this really came from the feedback from you guys. I mean, I've received so many messages from people asking, you guys asking me to, release a album of piano instrumentals and things like that. And so I just, after joining Mesh, I spoke to our tour manager, Jan, who's a great guy. And I just said to him, look, is there a market for this kind of thing? And he believed there was. And long story short, he went and booked me in a show at Oberhausen. So shout out to anyone in Oberhausen. I will be there next Saturday, this time next week actually, in Oberhausen at the famous cult temple, and I will be doing my piano interpretations. So really, what to expect from these shows, it's the complete opposite to, let's say, we don't want to compare things, but it really is the complete opposite to, let's say, a Mesh show. Like a Mesh show is always very high budget. We have crew, we have logistics. It's like when you get to an event, I always, whenever I walk into a venue before a Mesh show, I'm covered in goose flesh. It's just the most amazing feeling, and coming onto stage before, hearing the crowd and everything. But like with the Mesh shows, like the last one we've done, and typically we have audiences of between 8 and 1,500, depending on the venue. And, it's usually with a Mesh show, it's their crew, there's catering, there's lights and projections, and you get to the show and there's just dozens of people running around setting everything up. This, however, the interpretations is a completely different thing. It's really just, the whole idea is a man and a piano and a microphone. So the whole idea of this is to be very laid back, and it's meant to be very, very honest. So it's just me on a piano singing Depeche Mode songs, no backing tracks, just completely. It's a little bit nerve-wracking to be fair, because even when I did the DM bar, like if you do a Mesh show, before we go on, there's always like this epic intro and lights, and it's all very theatrical and dramatic. But when you walk onto one of these shows, you're just walking into a room and everyone's dead quiet, and as you sit down, everyone's like quiet, and you're thinking, oh shit. But yeah, looking really forward to it. The first one at DM Bar went down really, really well, and we do have the next one in Oberhausen. The ticket sales are doing okay. Jan, the tour manager, is quite happy with them so far, and as I say, I'm very happy and privileged to be playing in such a beautiful venue for my solo shows. And then we do have, I don't actually have a thumbnail here, but if you're living in London, or even if you're, in the UK, we have another show booked in February, on the 15th of February, 2025, in the beautiful Baptist Church, St. John's Baptist Church in Hoxton. Now, this is a beautiful church. I went in there in my last trip to London just to see the place, and my jaw dropped when I walked in. It's a church. I was brought up religiously, so churches are always important to me. Don't swear in the church, I don't know, and that's why it still sits funny with me, although I'm not conventionally religious anymore. It still fits strange with me when, people do like social events and stuff in churches and stuff. And anyway, it's another story. But the show in February is going to be something special. Now, this is actually, I didn't realize this until one of my subscribers told me that this church that I'm playing in February on the 15th, it's actually the same church that Gary Newman performed in last year. Was it this year? What was it? Last year, I think. Yeah. Do you remember when Gary Newman did those acoustic shows? Well, this is the same church he played in, so that made me feel quite, So anyway, so yeah, that's it. Interpretation shows, and I am looking to do more of these shows in now that I'm living in Europe. It is kind of easier to get. I realize now that I'm living in Europe, there's this kind of feeling of being able to get around easier. Of course, in the UK, we had Brexit as well, which did us no favors. I don't want to get political, but it did us no favors. But living in Europe now has been a great thing for me so far. And also now talking about Europe, I need to bring this up. Well, I don't know if you there we go, get the scaling right. This is the second pressing of the Mode photography book. There with my late friend Brian Griffin. My heart still breaks when I see the photos of him. The Mode book we did last year. You guys know the story. I was sitting with Brian having tea one morning, and I said to him, why have you never done a Depeche Mode photography book? And he also thought, he went, why haven't I? Anyway, so long story short, as you guys know, I had the idea, and it seemed like a no-brainer. And then Brian and I went to work very, very quickly. We put together a crowdfunder, and we released this beautiful, beautiful book. And we crowdfunded it on Kickstarter, and we sold everything within 6 weeks. We had enough money to. The crowdfunder was to get the funds to fund them for the production, and then got those out, and then the remaining copies sold out. So everything sold out within 6 weeks, and then, of course, after that, Brian and I were so burnt out at the end of it, because it was a very, it was hard work. I'm not going to lie to you, it was incredibly hard work. And also, when I was dispatching the books, it was around about the time that I was leaving for Estonia, so that was the hardest time of my life. I don't want to sound dramatic, hardest time of my life, but it was a hard time. This time last year, so around about October last year, I just remember my girls, my daughter and my wife had moved to Estonia, and Brian and I had like a month to get all these books out, and it was so stressful. I was suffering from long COVID, and it was just a very, very stressful time. But then once we got all the books shipped, I told Brian, I said to him, Brian, once we've sold all these books, then people are going to come to us and go, oh, because this is usually what happens. It's like most people are only going to wake up at the end, and indeed they did. And there was this kind of assumption with people, as there usually is, that, oh, they can just wait till it comes on Amazon. And indeed, that's not the case, because this is a cottage industry type thing. We, every book we did, we packed ourselves and we sent and shipped it. It was a real cottage industry kind of thing. So Brian and I we didn't announce it, because a lot of people were asking, oh, will you do a second pressing? And every time Brian and I heard the word Mode, we were like, oh, we were very proud of the book, but it was such a hard process and everything. But we did talk about doing a second pressing. And indeed, when I went to England back in January this year, just after we'd finished our mesh shows, I took some time off, and I got in touch with Brian, and I was going to come see him, because we were going to discuss the second pressing of Mode. And then, as you know, he sadly passed away on January the 27th. It was sad, because I had spoken to him probably about 3 days before the time. I texted him, I phoned him, and I said, oh, well, okay, I'll see you on the Monday. We'll come and we'll talk about this. And the last time I saw him, yeah. So, but I'm very, very proud that I've plowed ahead with this, and I've gone ahead with the second pressing. So, and once again, as I said, for those of you who don't know, like with everything I do on this channel, guys, I don't like to sound salesy. I don't like to shove things down people's throats. I mean, funny enough, I've had people saying to me like, oh, I didn't know you did your own music. Some people. It's because I'm not actively pushing everything. So what I like to do is I like to just go, it's there if you want it. There it is. So I like to just give people as much information as they need to know, and awareness, rather than sound very, very salesy. But just to conclude, the second pressing is now available. I've just spent the last few weeks sending out hundreds of books to those of you who have ordered. It is your chance now to get another copy. And as I say, this particular time round, I funded this pressing myself, and so no crowdfunding. But it was a calculated risk, and I took the risk because I believed in this. So if you've missed out the first pressing, it's now your chance to get one. No pressure, but it's there if you want it. Okay, so that's it for housekeeping and everything. Let's take some questions, shall we? And keep the conversation going. But I know you can't, well, you can see me, I can't see you. I want to just raise my glass to you, and I want to wish you good health and prosperity to you, your loved ones, and all those you love. And I hope it's a good year for you. I really hope it is. Right, let's take some questions here. Something about Vorty. Who's Vorty? Ronnie says, Bonnie. Oh, hello, Bonnie. Bonnie says, hey, sugar. Hi, Bonnie, I love you. I second the motion for Vorty live gigs. That may happen one day. For now, I'm just going to be focusing on my acoustic shows. Doing Vorty shows live is something I would like to do eventually, but it would take a lot because it would be quite a big production. So yeah, I'd want to do it properly. I wouldn't want it to look naff. So I will. I know a lot of you have asked for it, and bless you. There are some of you who have said, why do I always talk about other people's music and not about my own? Once again, coming back to what I said, I posted something on it was a little bit of a rant. I posted on my Facebook page the other day. I had a picture of an American flag and a British flag, and next to the British flag I had a miserable face, and next to the American flag I had a happy face. And I had a friend once, he's still alive, of course. He's a subscriber who's now a friend. He's American, and he was having a go at me once when I was talking about my Dark Society album, which I haven't really promoted enough. I'm very proud of it, by the way. And he said to me, Vaughn, what is it with you Brits? He said, you pussyfoot. You don't sort of own things. And I think that this is, I don't want to sort of go on a tangent here, but I think this is I think culturally this is very, very true. If you look at Brits, and I mean, I suppose I'm South African, but I've lived in Britain most of my life, and my ancestors and everything were British, so I guess I am a Brit. And I've lived in Britain most of my life, so I think my mindset is very British as well. In fact, when I lived in South Africa, I was accused of being very British in my mindset. Anyway, irrelevant. I think with the American culture, there's always this. It's okay to own what you have. It's like, I own this. This is what I am, and I'm proud of it. In British culture, you almost have to be a little bit. You can't be too proud because then you're being arrogant. In the British culture, I've lived there long enough to know that they love the underdog, and they love to see you get to the top, and then they want to pull you down, and that's a very, very nasty side of the thing. There's the whole joke about the American culture where it's like, you can be anything. You can be the president of the United States. You can be anything you want. And I love that about the Americans. They got that real positivity. Whereas with the Brits, it's kind of like, nah, it's probably never going to happen for you. And, living in Britain most of my life, I can say that definitely is the case. So I've always struggled with self-promotion. As I say, it's very easy for me to get onto my channel and talk about other people's music. I've praised Depeche Mode so much. I've also been critical of them as well, but I've never said anything personal or nasty. I'm honest. I speak. I'd like to think that I'm an honest person, and I say what I feel, but this doesn't mean I'm right. And sometimes I will make a mistake, and after years, sometimes I will watch some of my older videos and I'll be like, I don't really agree with what I said. I'm not taking back. Like, I will still criticize certain things, but then as you get older, and you look back at what you said when you were younger, and you're like, I don't agree with what I said there. And this is a sad thing about the world at the moment. Is part and parcel of the world we're in at the moment, with all this cancel culture. It's like someone, if they want to shut you down, they will find something you said on Twitter like 10 years ago, and I think the point we need to understand is that we as human beings, we change, and we move forward, and we don't always have the same opinion. So it is quite funny when I sometimes I don't watch my videos. I'm not as vain. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not as vain as what people say I am. be honest with you, I like most people, struggle to watch myself on camera. I'm like, okay. It's like even when I do the editing, I'm like, okay, I don't. Contrary to popular belief, I do not sit and drool over myself. I really don't. Maybe sometimes. Anyway, I think I've lost my train of thought now. Off-topic chicken. And if you got those off-topic chicken t-shirts, I'm going to have to do a new series of merch soon. Okay, and I'm going to take some questions. Yes, from M. Stimson. Also, speaking of 2024, I know a venue where I'm from just celebrated 100 years, and to be honest, if there was a hole in the wall from the dressing room, it's been there since the late 1970s. Okay, sorry, I do not know the context. I probably needed to read one of your previous threads there. Jack says, Oberhausen is coming or gone. Jack, no, Oberhausen, there we go. The Oberhausen show. The recording, as of the recording of this live stream, which is on Saturday the 21st, Oberhausen will be Saturday the 28th. So in a week's time, I will be in Oberhausen. Sophie says, I love your version of Sun in the Rainfall. Thank you. Okay, yes, Carlos Mode. Hello, Carlos Mode. We need some Vorti live shows, maybe as an opening act for Mesh. Thank you. And maybe joined by Cherry Ballard. Yes, Cherry Ballard. As you know, guys, Cherry Ballard has sung on quite a few of my songs. I love Cherry very, very much. We do keep in touch. She's still in London. And we have spoken about eventually one day her joining me on stage as a special guest. And yeah, you know, the problem with Cherry Ballard, there's no problem with Cherry Ballard, but what I'm trying to say is Cherry Ballard is, without putting myself down, it's not a competition, but Cherry Ballard, she's like a proper singer. You know, she's like a proper singer. And without putting myself down, I'm a musician that sings. Some people like my voice, and I'm grateful for those who do. But a lot of artists that I like are not really singers. They're musicians singing. For instance, and you may disagree with me on this, but hear me out. Pet Shop Boys, Neil Tennant. I love his voice, but you could argue he's not a great singer. He's not a bad singer, but I love him. But to me, he's a musician singing. And those types of artists have always been far more interesting to me than like the Michael Bublés and these people with immaculate voices. Bernard Sumner, New Order. There's a classical example. Someone who didn't want to sing stepped up to it. He's not a singer, but he's the front man, and no one can knock him. He's Bernard Sumner. So I've always been more into bands where the singer is like a vocalist rather than you understand, like as opposed to a singer. Secret Symphony says, I missed the Mesh discussion. Don't worry, this live stream will go up after we finish. It'll be up on the live. It'll be up on the YouTube channel for you. Right, another toast to you guys. And I'm going to do something random, because I know people like random stuff here on YouTube. Something you don't know about me. I love chilies. And this is like my delicacy. So, piece of cheese. I probably eat about 8, sometimes 10 of these a day. And I wrap them up in cheese like this. And I just eat it. Whew. Wonderful. It's got more vitamin C than an orange. Raises your metabolism. Good for your sex drive, libido. Highly recommended. Cheers. And it's very Christmassy. That was random, I know. Anyway, moving swiftly on. A question here, was there a professional recording of the full show? No, there was no recording of the Mesh show. We are going to go on tour when the new album's finished. We have got some shows next year. You can go to mesh.co.uk to see those. But yeah, I'm sure we will look at professionally recording some of the shows. Professionally recording shows cost a lot of money. And you know, I think Mesh will probably not look to do that. And I can't talk on behalf of Mesh, but I assume they may look at recording another show professionally once we're touring the new album, because that makes sense. Yeah, because there's a lot of investment that goes in there. All right. Frank says, sorry, I missed your DM bar show by a few hours. No worries, Frank. I'm sure I'll go there again. I don't know where you live, though. But yeah, I live in Tallinn now, so it went really, really well. I've got no doubt they'd be happy to have me back again. Jenny Finley. Hello, Scottish lassie. Hello, late to the party. Don't worry, Jenny. It's fashionably late. Music World says sending love to you. And sending love to you. I just see ASMR has just popped up here. ASMR. Yeah. I was just thinking, yeah. We're going to do a Nick Rhodes special. Hi, Nick Rhodes does ASMR. Yes, Nick Rhodes. Are you probably talking about me eating the chili? That was an ASMR. There we go. I think I've got a brand coming here. I'm not pretty enough for that. Bonnie says, how has fatherhood changed your relationship with music? How do you write and how do you listen to it specifically? Well, you know, Bonnie, I just don't really have the bandwidth for this dark, miserable music anymore. For instance, I saw one that came up. I'm going to do a video on it. Gary Newman just did a new song. Yeah, with the guest. Forgive me. I forget who the artist is. He's just done a song with. But it's just too dark and too gothic, and I'm just like, oh. I mean, I've done some dark music as well, but I just don't have the bandwidth for it at the moment, because I just think the whole world is just so dark and everything. So this was my therapy when I was in lockdown and suffering from long COVID and everything. This was like a therapy album. I'm very proud of this record because I made this for myself. I know that sounds arrogant, but I always say to my students, don't play to the gallery. Do music for yourself. Make the music that you want. And when I listen to this, I'm very, very proud of it. I listened to it the other day and I thought, fuck, this is dark. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. But yeah, I was going through a really bad time. But I'm very proud of it. And here's something, while I've got this here, that some of you do have this. If you actually look, there are some sleeve notes, not sleeve notes, there is engraving on the inside. You won't be able to see this here. I had this cut at Abbey Road. And you can have an inscription made here. And I was there with my good friend, my dear friend Carla Groom. Shout out Carla when you watch this video. And Alex Wharton, who did the vinyl cut, he said to me, you know, what would you like etched into it? And Carla came up with one of the lines from the song 1984. It's up to us. So if you've got one of these, I know some of you do, see if you can spot it there. It's written in there. It's etched in there. It's up to us. Little Easter egg. And I'll be bringing a few of these to Oberhausen on Sunday if any of you want to pick one up. But no pressure at all. Okay. Elias says Nick Rhodes eating jelly would be a hilarious video. Yeah, I want to bring a bit more humor onto it now. It's the world is just very, very dark at the moment, and I've really got into a place now where ignorance is bliss. I don't watch the news anymore. I just don't. I don't know who to trust. And it's very sad because it seems like there's no grown-ups in the world anymore. It's like, I remember like when I was growing up in the 80s and stuff, and you watch chat shows, or in the 90s, it would be very, well, I was more of a 90s kid really, but it was very shocking to see people on chat shows like behaving badly or like shouting at guests and stuff like that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there's just so much outrage as well at the moment, and outrage is currency. And I haven't put up many videos lately as well, but I've also noticed that YouTube has changed so much since I started. It's like I've never been competitive. Like, I don't see myself as competing with anyone. I just do what I do. But it is annoying when you sort of like open YouTube and there's just all this sensational this stuff, like, clickbait and just angry stuff, like the worst this and the worst this, and the end of the world. There's just all this doom and gloom, and I really am kind of, for my own mental health and just trying to be reactionary to all that kind of stuff. I don't want to be naive and say we live in a Pollyanna world. I understand there are bad things in the world, but and I say this to you as well, just you need to protect yourself from it, because once you bombard with yourself with this stuff all the time, your subconscious mind picks up on it all about the manifestation, all that kind of stuff. So you should just feed yourself as much positive stuff as what you can. Anyway, I'm sounding like a self-help coach now. I'm not. But just protect your mental health. It's very important. Johnny Quid says, have you listened to Dave Gaughan's performances with Soul Savers? No, I haven't actually. I should. I have just been so inundated with work and everything, and I've worked my backside off now because I promised my wife and my daughter that I would spend some time with them over Christmas, because I'm always working. But no, I haven't. I know Dave loves his Soul Savers thing, and I really think what's going to happen when Depeche Mode eventually break up, because they will eventually. I believe there is a new album planned. Nothing official, but I know they will do another album. That's what I mean. But I think once they do break up, I think Dave will carry on with the Soul Savers route, and I think Martin will carry on with these techno records. And Martin, if you're watching, you're probably not, but I want to give you some advice. Even your voice is beautiful, and when you do techno records, you're selling yourself short. He did that Monkey. What was that last techno album he did? Something Monkey or something. I reviewed it. I liked it, but I think when Martin Gore makes a record and he's not singing, he's selling himself short, because his voice is one of his greatest attributes, as is his songwriting. So I think I would love to see a Martin Gore solo album. We've never seen a Martin Gore solo album. We saw Counterfeit 1, we saw Counterfeit 2, and I loved them both. It's not a competition, but I've always been a huge Martin Gore fan. Probably, I know there's people who go, oh, yeah, no, they're more of a Dave Gaughan fan, and I don't want to pick sides here, but I am a huge Martin Gore fan. Love Martin Gore. So yeah, I would love to see a Martin Gore solo album. As I said, we got Counterfeit 1, Counterfeit 2, but I would love to see an original, a solo album by Martin with original songs. Apparently, I've said this on videos before, and I think the gist I got from comments was, apparently people have asked Martin about this, and apparently, and I'm paraphrasing now, apparently Martin has said he likes to keep his songs for Depeche Mode, his best ideas for Depeche Mode. So anyway, who knows what will happen. Right, Sophie, Hoot and Cheesy, absolutely. I can highly recommend it. Cheese, just a chili with a bit of cheese around it, and some dark rum and Coke. My wife gets very annoyed with me sometimes because I post pictures on my Facebook page sometimes with me holding a drink, and she's like, "Don't do that. People are going to think you're an alcoholic." But I'm not. I just enjoy a drink. But yeah. There we go. The Third Chimpanzee. Thanks, Tommy. Yeah, that was Martin Gore's solo album. The Third Chimpanzee. There we go. Johnny Quid says, will Vince Clarke be back with another Euro Rack Electro album? I'm not sure, actually. Yeah, so I think I've skipped through quite a few questions here as well. Anyway, guys, we've just gone on for about an hour now, so just if you want to fire a few questions over, I'll get a few questions before we wrap this up. I don't know, I always get to the end of these live streams and I go, how was this? Was that interesting? Was that a bit waffly? It's difficult sometimes when you're just talking to a camera, because I'm in a room by myself here now, and I feel your love and presence here, but Tony Duncan says, I'm proud to be on the remixes of that album. I must make a shout out. Tony Duncan, the man who never sleeps, he is indeed on the remixes of this album. Now, once again, I'm taking advice from my American friends now. I am owning this and not ashamed to promote my own product. This is the album, which is the vinyl. But if you get the CD is a double album. It has 2 CDs. The first CD is the album, and the second one has some remixes by some great producers, including Tony Duncan, including Gareth Jones, who did a remix of my song Bottle. Yeah, thanks, Tony. Thanks for reminding me about that. Elias says, I'm sure if there's no more Depeche Mode, Martin will write his own songs. Yes, I think so. I think that'll be pretty much the thing. You know, when you're a musician, it's always in you. Tony says you should own it. It's brilliant. Thank you, Tony. I'll send you that tenner later. I was listening to it the other day. You know, if you're a producer, we're so hard on ourselves, you know, when we do stuff. And I mean, I know even Gary Newman, he says when he's finished a record, he can't listen to it. It's got to take like months or a year. But it's interesting because when you've finished a record, you're so sort of focused on what you wish you could have done better. But when you come back to something that you haven't heard for a long time, and you have this kind of detachment from it, like you almost listen to it like it's someone else, and you go, oh, it's actually very good. I actually like that. And it is good. I do like it. I'm not going to call me arrogant. And I blame my American friends for making me so arrogant. Here's to the Yankees. I love you guys. It's always that fine line between being confident and being arrogant. You know, you never want to be. No one likes an arrogant dick. But then, you know, there is that fine line between being, you know, believing in what you do, but not being an arsehole. But hey ho. Russman says, hi Vaughn, do you think Daniel Miller and Gareth would release Reconstruction Time again as a physical release? Hi Russ. Russman. Russ. Yeah, Russ, I don't know if you saw the video I put up pretty recently when I went to London. I had a chat with Gareth Jones, and I've always spoken to him about this Reconstruction Time again. And he's actually spoken about him and I possibly doing this as a double act, meaning we'd have a venue booked and we'd do I would do my piano interpretations as the first half of the show, and then he would come on at the end and do his half of the show, which would be the Reconstruction Time again. It's kind of like a DJ set. So I think, yeah, there was quite a lot of positive feedback on that video. Gareth's up for it. He is really up for it. So once again, I'm very privileged. I'm very honored for Gareth suggesting that we do it together. But yeah, I don't know if Daniel would be. I know Daniel and Gareth do the sunroof stuff. But I think for the Reconstructed Time again, Gareth he did play me in his studio some of the stuff, and it was just jaw-droppingly good. You know, to the Reconstruction Time again. It's basically incorporating using the stems and the parts of the original Construction Time Again album, but then kind of flipping things on their head, and so it's kind of like a hybrid version of the album. It's just something to behold, stunning. So yeah, we will look at doing something like that this year. And of course, there's such a huge market for this. Anything Depeche Mode related, there's such a huge market for it, especially where I am now in the world, this part of the world. We're right next to the Czech Republic, Slovakia, those places, Hungary, Germany, obviously huge Depeche Mode place. Depeche Mode is very, very big. Electronic music and those genres are very, very big here. I mean, the whole music industry is just very, very different here. Obviously, I mean, it's different. Every country's different. But I think if you look at a lot of the Mesh interviews I've done, they talk about how, I think Richard from Mesh talks about how Germany have these real sort of like categories. In the UK, everything's kind of like, oh, isn't that nice? My light just died. That means I've been talking for too long. That camera's got the light's got about an hour battery life. It means I've been talking too long. But anyway, we'll just do the rest of this VG After Dark. Cheers to you all. The battery died. But anyway, finishing what I was said, Richard from Metch was saying how in Germany there seems to be these real sort of there are sort of like categories. So if you're an artist there, you can kind of find a niche that you can fit into. I've lived in the UK for long enough to know that that's not the case there. It's just not the case there. Right. So, yeah, the light's gone out. So it's pretty good timing now. The light's gone out. That means I've been chatting for too long. Overstayed my welcome. But anyway, guys, I want to wish you a very, very merry and blessed Christmas to you and your loved ones. And I want to thank you so, so much. I always say it, and I can never say it enough. I want to thank every one of you who spends your time watching me, because I know there are so many other things you could be watching. So I do not take things for granted. I really, really am grateful and appreciate this so, so much. If you're on here and you're part of my Watch VG inner circle, I was planning to do a Zoom chat with you guys, that we're supposed to do every month. But I will get to that probably in early January, so we'll have like a belated Christmas gathering. So I will let you guys know about that. Also, just one thing, guys, just probably later on, I am going to be starting YouTube memberships as well. I know a lot of YouTubers do it. I didn't do that because I have my own membership site called watchvg.com. And the reason I want to do YouTube memberships is because some of you like having everything within the YouTube platform. Some, Watch VG, although a lot of you like it, some of you don't like it because it takes you into a different ecosystem. So I am looking at rolling out VG memberships in the YouTube channel. But anyway, more of that to come. If you're in Oberhausen in Germany, I will look forward to seeing you. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video, live stream or live event. I'm Vaughn George, and I love you. Thank you so much. Lots of love. Merry Christmas. Time for another drink and a chili.